Hey guys, we're live. I'm Jeff with eBay Addicts, and today my guest is the Freeway Flippers. How are you guys doing today?
We are doing great.
Okay, awesome. So go ahead and introduce yourselves. You can tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what it is that you do. I'll put you on full screen so they can see you better. There you go.
Perfect. All right, so we are the Freeway Flippers. I'm Liz.
And my name's Casey.
And we are full-time resellers. We sell mainly on Amazon, but we do eBay as well. And then we also do merch by Amazon. We have our own YouTube channel, affiliate marketing. So we pretty much do just about anything that makes us money.
Okay, awesome. So you guys live in Arizona, is that correct? What part of Arizona are you guys from?
We live in Apache Junction, Arizona, which is east of Phoenix by about a half hour or so.
Oh, okay. So just outside of Phoenix. That's awesome. Yep. So that's what you guys do now. You're both full-time resellers. Can you guys talk a little bit about what your backstory was? Like, what were you guys doing before you became full-time resellers? I was watching your YouTube channel, and it looks like you guys did a lot of traveling and a lot of things like that. And you were working as an insurance, like in the insurance industry. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I was in the insurance industry for 20 years and started traveling for my job about 5 years ago. And that entailed like 21 days on the road, and I'd work 12-hour days, 20 days straight, because the 21st day I'd get to travel home. And then I would have 7 days off and then go back and do it again. And sometimes it would even be two, what we called tours in a row. So there'd be times I'd be out 42 days without being home. I'd get to stay home 2 weeks. You know, that was the thing about that. I'd get another week, but those days off went fast, as you can imagine. And living in a hotel got old pretty quickly. So I started basically just listening to podcasts and following YouTube because I spent a lot of time in my car. So I would just spend my day gaining as much knowledge as I could while still performing my job. And at the time, Liz was teaching, and I was looking for a way that she could make some money on the road and come out with me. We don't have any children, so for us, it made sense. So our YouTube channel, the Freeway Flippers, started with full-time RVing and thrifting and doing the eBay thing and Amazon while on the road. So that's how the channel started. As Liz mentioned, we primarily do Amazon. So we first dabbled with the whole online selling thing. Other than I had some experience with eBay early on, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, just buying and selling a few things here and there, but never really took it serious. And once I started learning about Amazon and FBA, the fulfillment by Amazon option, where you send your stuff to Amazon and let them take care of the rest, essentially, that was very intriguing. With being on the road, that made sense to me as something we could do because we didn't have to hold all of our inventory on an RV, for example. So we started out with private labeling and followed a course and met a lot of great people and have been doing that since 2017. And at the end of last year, I decided I had enough with corporate America for now and hopefully forever, really. So we did the full-time reselling, and that's what we're doing now. So it's worked out.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy for you guys. I was watching your video where you're just like, well, I'm done with this because being on the road as much as you are, it's almost like a semi truck driver that drives across country because you're going for so many weeks and then you turn around and you come back home and you're like, oh, I'm here for a couple of days, and then you're back out on the road again. So I mean, it would be rough. Well, the good thing is that you didn't have any kids to raise, but if you were in that environment and you had to raise 3-4 kids and you're constantly on the road all the time, it would be very difficult to raise a family doing that. So
I definitely have some coworkers that were doing that, and it was very challenging for them. You know, that it was kind of sad to see, really, in my mind. I mean, W-2 jobs are great. They have, great benefits. You can make really good money, but there usually comes a cost of your time. And for me, I wanted more time than money, if that makes sense. I mean, and this is something that we enjoy doing together and building together. And so again, it's worked out great for us so far, and I hope it continues. There's challenges with selling online with any platform, whether it's Amazon or eBay, and it's a learning process, but again, it's been fun. So
yeah, okay, cool. We're live. I'm going to say hello to a few people in the chat. Okay, we have
yeah, definitely.
We have Keith is here. He says, "Good afternoon, everybody." Don is here in the chat. He says, "What do you sell the most of on Amazon? Do you find it's restrictive? I know people who are banned from selling on Amazon for no fault of their own. I like eBay better." And I wanted to say hello to the ATL Flippers in the chat, and we have LKL Graphics. Keith is here. So, yeah, I hear that a lot of new sellers on Amazon that, when you're first getting started, you're gated in a lot of different categories. Whereas on eBay, you're not, it's not as restrictive. So do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Sure. So I think what you're referring to and how a lot of people, are restricted is when they're trying to do retail, online arbitrage, wholesale, where they're trying to sell brands that are already built and out there. And when you first open an Amazon account, you might not be able to sell the brand Nike. You might not be able to sell in pet supplies. But there's ways that you can connect with distributors and wholesalers, buy from them, and then apply to get what's called ungated, to where you have approval to sell those particular products. But I mean, with any business, there's always going to be risks. And unfortunately, that's one of the risks that you have with selling on Amazon. Now, how we started, like Casey mentioned, was private label. Now, a huge benefit for that is you are building a brand from scratch, and you have a product where you don't necessarily have to worry about, dealing with a company coming back and saying you're not allowed to sell that product. You're finding products that sell using data software like Jungle Scout, then contacting suppliers, and you're using your own brand name. So we felt like that was a really good way for us to start and build that to where it is today. And now we're actually going back and focusing more on retail and online arbitrage.
Okay, awesome. Keith is here. He wants to know, what are some good places to find products? So can you clarify your business model a little bit? Because I know you guys sell on Amazon and eBay, but probably the majority of your sales are from Amazon. So are you guys doing wholesaling? Are you doing retail arbitrage? Are you doing private labeling? And I know you guys do merch by Amazon as well. Like, what would you say makes up the bulk or the majority of your reselling business?
Currently, private label for sure. And once you learn about private label and start looking on Amazon, you'll see there's a lot of private label products. Again, we started in 2017, which at that time it was a lot harder to do than if you had started in 2014. Back in like 2014, when private labeling was just kicking off, a lot of the people that started then are very successful today. And a lot of people that started when we are very successful, and you could start today and become successful. It's just, it has gotten harder because of information like this, like you're doing. I mean, the word, has gotten out to what private labeling even is. So yes, it's not as easy as it was before, but we've all done the research, or a lot of us on the projections of how much the sales at Amazon are going to continue to increase over the next 10 years. So there's new buyers every day. There's so many products that it can seem like there's a lot of competition, and it might frustrate people. I mean, we've been there at certain times, but you just have to be patient like anything. The thing we like about it, Liz mentioned Jungle Scout. To find a private label product now takes a good 30 days of like spending several hours a day doing a lot of research and double checking your numbers and the competition and all this stuff. And then you got to reach out to a supplier.
And we found ours on Alibaba.
Yeah.
So that's where, if you are into private label and trying to find one of those products, to answer that question, that's where we would go, is Alibaba, because it's a direct contact with an actual supplier that can manufacture that particular product. So for private label, that's where we would find our products. But that doesn't mean that Alibaba is the only place you can, find local manufacturers, or, there's other countries where you can find them. Going back to that question with retail and online arbitrage, a place where we find products would be thrift stores to sell on eBay, to sell on Amazon. We're ungated in Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, Champion. So some of the big name brands, we go to Ross, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, Burlington. There's DD's Discount. We don't really go there, but that might be another one. That might be where, you guys are located. So that's just some of the places where we go and find product. There's really products everywhere. If you're starting on eBay or Amazon, I would just say looking around your house, find a barcode to scan, look up the item, see if it's something that you can sell, see what it's selling for, understand how those platforms work. Because a big thing to understand when you're first selling, like on Amazon, would be sales rank. So you don't want to buy an item that has no data that it doesn't sell. You need the data to show you that it's a good buy. You need to understand fees, how the fees work, because you have, a 15% referral fee if you fulfill the item yourself. And then if Amazon, if you send it into the warehouse and they fulfill it, then you have additional fees. So just really understanding how it works and if you're going to make money on particular products.
Yeah, I was going to say that, people forget about all the fees that there is both on eBay and Amazon. Like on Amazon, if you have your pro merchant account, that's like $40 a month. Then you have, storage fees, you have pick and pack fees. There's other fees associated with that. And so from what I've heard, because I sell on eBay currently, I'm not on Amazon, but on average, from what I heard is that Amazon may charge you up to 30% of a particular item. So if you sold an item for $100, let's say your cost of goods is 30, Amazon's taking their 30%, and then you might have maybe, 25-30% left over. So I like I said, and then the thing is that in case you guys don't know, is that there are variables that you can't control, like the post office raising their rates. Amazon could raise their fees. eBay just raised their fees not too long ago. And then you have, if your cost of goods go up. So there's other variables involved. So you got to kind of have to build pretty good margins in. If you guys don't mind me asking, I don't want to poke holes and ask you what products you are selling, but I'm just curious, what kind of profit margin do you guys typically look for when you're sending in products in, whether you're doing wholesaling, retail arbitrage, or you're doing private label? What kind of profit margins do you typically look for after you subtract your cost of goods and your Amazon fees?
Yeah, for private label, we're shooting for 20% minimum. When we first started, it was closer to honestly 35-40%. With tariffs now, the shipping is insane from overseas to over here right now. The cost is like tripled in the last 2 months. Material costs have gone up depending on what product you are selling. If it had steel in it, for example, those prices have gone up. The US dollar has gone down quite a bit over in other countries. So yeah, it's definitely a lot more. That's what's been making it a little bit more challenging. We've actually are in the process of getting another private label product made, and we're having it all done local here in the US and actually within the Phoenix area. So we're pretty excited about that, to have a manufacturer in our backyard. It's something that we haven't had the luxury of before because it has been a challenge. With private label, and again, we only really chose that model because of the situation we were in at the time. Being on the road, again, we couldn't hold inventory. So we could go out and arbitrage, come back to the hotel, send it into Amazon, and we were doing that. But you only have so many hours in the day. And sometimes we'd be in like very small cities that really didn't have many places to source. So we were limited. So we were kind of forced ourselves to learn private label up front, and I'm happy we did, because we learned a lot about Amazon throughout that process and just a lot of ins and outs. And again, we met a lot of amazing people that really knew their stuff and helped us out. What we found is a lot of people have a lot of distrust with people because of like W-2 jobs, for example, like myself, but like this community is very open, we found. And once you get to know people on a personal level, like you can learn a lot from them. And that's when you can really ask a lot of questions and not have to worry about, because it is, online, it's difficult to put your stuff out there because unfortunately people will try to either sabotage it or rip it off. Or if they're a competitor, they might buy your product and leave negative reviews and return a bunch. It's unfortunately the cost of doing business. We've been okay to avoid most of that stuff, I would say, but it's like anything. I mean, there is risk to it, but.
Yeah, and then you have sometimes people want to buy a similar item you have and then tank the market. So there's a lot of things that happen there. And, you were talking about having competition. I've read somewhere that they have about 1,000 new eBay sellers that come on the platform per day, not a month, not a year, per day. But what I find, just me personally, I feel like there's probably 75, 80% of the people that aren't willing to do the work. They think they can just come in, press a couple buttons, and then money's just going to show up and land in their lap on autopilot. Then they don't actually realize all the work that's involved and all the stuff you have to do kind of behind the scenes. So, my dad told me once when I was a kid, he said, Jeff, don't worry about, the competition. He said the cream is always going to rise to the top. So as long as you're willing to hustle and you're willing to put the work in and you don't give up, you're going to make some headway. You may not happen as quickly as you want it to happen. It may not happen overnight. They always say, it's 20 years to become an overnight success. So it may not happen like overnight where you're like, hey, I opened up an Amazon or eBay account and now I got a new Tesla in the driveway. Like it may not happen overnight, but as long as you're willing to reinvest your capital and put the work in, it can happen for you. So the next thing I wanted to touch on real quick is I was
still there? You're kind of cutting out. We're not able to hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm back.
There you are.
Sorry. I apologize. So you guys were watching Reezy Resells, and then so is that what got you guys interested? You want to tell us a little bit of story of how you guys got interested in actually redoing reselling and selling on Amazon? Someone in the chat was asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when Casey was, driving, because when he would go on his 3-week tours, he literally would drive everywhere. It didn't matter if it was 12 hours away, 36 hours away. He was in the car, would listen to YouTube videos. And I remember my phone would keep blowing up because he was just constantly sending me videos to watch about selling on Amazon. And at the time, I thought Amazon was Amazon. I had no idea that there was third-party sellers. And I'm like, no way does this work. But we did find Reezy Resells. And just watching the video, it made sense to me. You're buying, he's the book king, so I would go to Goodwill or other thrift stores, garage sales, find books, scan them, look to see what they're going for on Amazon. And just the business model to me really made sense. That's actually one of the places that I would always recommend newbies on Amazon to start. Open up an Amazon seller account, because that sometimes does take a while to open it up. And then go and just start scanning and see if you can find anything. Because when you sell on Amazon, you're either going to have to fulfill it yourself or you're going to have to send it into Amazon. And that's how items are primed. They're stored in the warehouse. You need to learn how that process works. Starting small, which I'm glad that we ended up doing that, because I feel like we didn't rush into it. And by taking it slow, and Casey having his job still and us having the capital to be able to reinvest all the profits and build and then get into other things like private label, back to retail, online arbitrage. I think that was really key for us. But we did, when we were on the road, we were in Morgan Hill, California, and I contacted Reezy actually and said, hey, we're in the area. And he has been always so helpful and just so kind to us. He is honestly a great guy in person. He's a lot of fun. He showed us around his hometown. We got to meet Luna and Rosa, and they got to meet our dogs, and he took us down to the beach and just kind of really it was a Sunday too. Like, he didn't have to do it, but he did. And that was actually one of the highlights of our RVing, was being able to say that we've met Reezy Resells and thank him in person for everything that he's done for us and the content. But if it wasn't for his videos, I don't know if we would have started with books, and maybe we would have started somewhere else and given up. But a lot of people do start and they give up, and you just have to go slow and really take the time to learn how it works.
Yeah, like I mentioned, we were sometimes in big cities, but a lot of times in not. But there was always usually a thrift store within a drive that Liz could manage, and they all sell books, and that is what Reezy taught, because you can buy books for like $1 to $3 depending, and a lot of times the margins are pretty sweet on them. And like Liz said, she would just go scan them. I remember I'd be like, try to go spend $200 today on books. That was like a goal of ours for her, was to see how many books she could buy, because scanning them, you learn sales rank. So you understood that, okay, this is going to sell within 3 weeks because it's under $1 million. And, that's how we got to learn just the Amazon algorithm, if you will, sales rank specifically. And yeah, I forgot about that whole Reezy start, but yeah.
And then you guys also met up with Kevin David as well, right?
Definitely. Yeah. So I mentioned the Amazon private label course earlier. It was Kevin's. When we first met him, he had like 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. And since Liz and I were on the road, he was living in Denver at the time. He had just dropped his Amazon course, and it was kicking off for him really well. And I said, hey, why don't we do a meetup? Reached out to him. He said, that's a great idea. So we coordinated his first little meetup in Denver with some people that we still communicate with to this day that are still successful on Amazon. And since he did like a Puerto Vallarta, Mexico meetup for his group, San Diego, Las Vegas. So yeah, we've got to hang out with him quite a bit.
Saw him in Austin on the road.
Oh yeah, in Austin, Texas as well. Yeah, he's done amazing things. He's a marketing machine for sure, but full of knowledge and very down to earth when you get to meet him. But yeah.
Yeah, I haven't met either one of those people, but I'm subscribed to both of them on YouTube. So there's a whole wealth of people in the community of just people on YouTube that put out free knowledge and free information, at least to help you get started. And then they have courses and books. And then there's a lot of things you can reach out to people in the community and ask them questions as well. Don says, where is Jeff? Hey, guys, I'm right here. It's just that we have two guests, and I'm trying to put them on full screen so you can see our guests.
You can keep it like this if you'd like.
Yeah.
It don't matter to me either way. Noob Ernie is in the chat. He wants to know, he says, how much do they make on an average per month? So do you guys mind answering that? They just want to know what you guys are doing in gross sales on both eBay and Amazon.
Well, our private label is going to do about 500,000 in sales this year, projected. And again, that floats in the high teens to low 20s. A lot depends on PPC and if we run out of stock because of shipping. I mean, right now it's a little volatile. And then, I don't know, between affiliate marketing, eBay, and we have a couple of Amazon accounts. One's private label. I mean, we invest a lot into the business. So we just take a salary out of our LLC. We set up an LLC. It all goes to that. And we pretty much just draw enough to take care of our bills. And the rest is getting pumped back into business right now. I mean, that was the reason I decided to leave my W-2. I mean, you said it earlier. You're not going to get rich overnight. And when you see screenshots of people selling $100,000 a month in Amazon, know that if their margins are very sweet and they're doing 30%, so they make 30 grand on a 100,000. Well, they need to go buy a lot more product to make that 100,000. So you got to, this isn't a business where you just come in and you take everything you make. That's not how it works. You have to constantly reinvest or it stops. So it's actually a lot more work than a W-2 job, if you will. But it's a lot more rewarding. So for us, I mean, our profit, it varies every month. We just draw a couple grand or a few grand a month and reinvest everything else. So.
But like our main private label brand, I'd say about 6,000 to 8,000 a month, but that's not what we're bringing home because we have to then have that to, PPC is pay per click. So when you have your own product, you have to drive the traffic to your listing because you're the only one on that listing. You're the only one selling that product. So we have to pay a lot in advertising fees. We have a lot more expenses. So a lot of that, I mean, that's after expenses and everything, but then we have to then reinvest it.
So like the merch account, we're going to start back up again. So I love this business model, print on demand, only because you hold no inventory. And that's something that over the last couple of years is coming more important to me, because like now that we're in Apache Junction, I mean, we have a garage full of stuff. We have an outbuilding full of stuff. Like if we ever want to move, for example,
right.
You know, which we're the type where we're like, we don't settle in one place very long. We like get antsy and we love change. We love new adventures.
Right.
But our goal is to stay in this house for hopefully another 5 years. But we still want to revisit RVing and being able to do that part-time. But when you have a physical product business, it makes it very difficult. Like, who's going to take care of it? If you put it on vacation, then the algorithm changes, and you know, it just makes it a lot harder.
So the Merch by Amazon account that we have, which if you guys haven't heard of that before, I strongly suggest checking it out after this live, and at least Googling Merch by Amazon and put in your email. And if you get accepted, great. There's no commitments. You basically upload designs and it's print on demand, t-shirts, and they've now come out with, I don't know, probably 15 different products, and they're in 5 different countries. So you're pretty endless with possibilities as far as income there. What's the guy's name? Something Green.
Chris Green.
Chris Green, who's also pretty popular in this community. He speaks a lot about print on demand and Kindle Direct Publishing being kind of what he is pushing right now. And it's because of that. You hold no inventory and you upload designs. Now, to that point, so we're in what's called Tier 2000. So we have an option of uploading 2,000 designs, which we only have like 800 uploaded. Of that, a lot of them are pretty subpar that we just kind of threw together, but still sell. But the key there is you want to get a designer, pay, $4 or $5 a design, so for 100 designs, you're looking at $400 or $500 a month. And some people are like, wow, it's a lot, but it takes one t-shirt to get your money back. And if you're going out and sourcing at Goodwill, like we went to Dollar Day this morning, for example, spent $40, got 40 items, really good return on that. But the work behind that and to store it all, and then
have to photograph, have to prep it, have to list it, have to pack it when it, gets sold.
For me, I can go to Merch Informer, find 50 designs that are selling good, send it to a designer, have them turn it around in 2 weeks. Then I've got a high quality, unique design that we own. And then it's just like anything. It's your keywords, it's your bullet points, it's your description. And I mean, there's a lot of people doing pretty crazy numbers with Merch by Amazon. And then those designs you can upload to, there's quite a few popular: Redbubble, Teespring, Etsy, Printful, all those design print on demand companies. So it goes back to like, how much profit are we making? So we're reinvesting like everything we make for the most part, with the exception of getting our mortgage paid, our bills paid, and going out a couple times a month type of thing. So
yeah, I'm with you on that. I try to reinvest as much capital as I can. And it's difficult sometimes because I'm driving this old 20-year-old Toyota Camry, and I see this other car driving down the street. And I'm like, man, I would really like to get me like a brand new Tesla or something. And then I crunch the numbers and
he froze.
He should unfreeze here soon, hopefully.
I'm like, I would much rather have the inventory, the merchandise. Let's say even if I just get a 10x on my money, let's say I bought some Blu-rays, for example, for $1 a piece, and I'm like, if I bought 600 of them, sold them for $10 a piece, now we're talking turning your $600 investment into $6,000 of inventory, versus me spending that $600 a month on a brand new car. On paper, what made me think about it, I'm like, man, I was thinking about how much money I spend every month just in fuel alone. And I'm like, the money that I'm spending in gas would offset my car payment. But I was like, do I want to sign a 5-year note for a car payment? And I was like, nope, I don't,
Yeah.
So that's just one of those things where you have to continuously reinvest your money back into your business. So we have a question here from Ernie. He says, do the Freeway Flippers have a YouTube channel? I have their YouTube and Instagram link down below. Do you want to talk about your YouTube channel?
I'll let Liz speak on it. If you watch a lot of our videos, I leave the social and video stuff up to her a lot, which I'm trying to change. That's why I joined her in this. And But yeah, go ahead with that.
Yeah. So our YouTube is Freeway Flippers, and it's, a lot of it just sharing some of the things that, we've got a bigger following on Instagram, and I see some of the questions that people have. So I like to put, videos out to help people. I was a teacher. I used to teach kindergarten and preschool. So that's kind of in me to want to help other people and just really encourage people to go out and try to make money and on, doing different things, because I know that, my life is completely changed by finding Reezy Resells videos and Casey finding that. And, if we hadn't done that, we wouldn't be where we are today. A lot of people wait until retirement to RV full time. We got to experience it. Yes, it was for his job, but his job allowed that full time, being a reseller and doing Amazon and eBay allowed me to do that on the road. I didn't do eBay as much. So when Casey was traveling before we RV'd, I had, our eBay store up to over 1,000 listings and was doing that consistently. And then it was kind of like, if we want to have this opportunity in RV full time, I have to get rid of everything, which was very, very hard to part with. We sold everything, our 5-bedroom house. We sold everything inside of it. We kept like 4 bins, plastic bins full of like keepsakes that we just couldn't part with, yearbooks and baby things and gifts and pictures and things like that. But
yeah, then we hit the road.
Yep. All right, cool. Yeah, I have all their links down below for YouTube and Instagram if you guys want to go by and check them out and subscribe. We have a question here from Don. He says, have you ever ran into counterfeit private label products on Amazon?
We haven't. Counterfeiting, if you do private label right, is pretty difficult because you trademark your brand. So for somebody to come in, again, is pretty difficult if you've done your due diligence. We have had a supplier kind of copy a product that we had given them to design and make, and actually used Liz's, because Liz was in one of the product photos, and we're searching on Alibaba, and all of a sudden I see Liz in one of the pictures on Alibaba. I'm like, what's going on here? And it was our supplier.
Yeah, she took all of the pictures that I had done and pretty much copied my product idea. Yeah. That's one of the drawbacks of private label and using, suppliers over, in another country is, unfortunately, like, they don't have to withhold a lot of
the regulations are different. The trademark means nothing over there, or even a patent, really. So,
but on Amazon, if you are going to be the private label seller, you want to get your brand name trademark. So if somebody jumps on, which is called a hijacker, and they try to sell counterfeit products to look like yours, then you have, you can get them kicked off. But in terms of like, we don't sell other people's private label products, so we don't ever run into that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I got a question. When you guys were talking earlier about selling like merch by Amazon, that's included with your $40 a month that you pay Amazon, or do they charge you extra for that?
It's a separate account, and it's completely free.
Oh, it's free with your Amazon account, with your Amazon seller account?
No.
You can either sign up with your buyer account or your seller account, and then they would be linked together, or you can sign up with a completely different email and create an actual Merch by Amazon account.
But yeah, there's no charge monthly for that, for example.
Okay, cool. I wanted to say hey to my buddy Shane is here, Rise and Grind Picker. I don't know if you know Shane or not. He just stopped by in the chat. So I wanted to say hey to him. And BK from the Rockies is here. He says that's bull crap that they would copy your product and use your pick to try to sell it. And I wanted to say hey to Van Jam is in the chat. And we have the ATL Flipper is here. He says, how do you start selling on Amazon? I guess he wants to know either how you guys got started, or if you could just give some general information if somebody wanted to get started selling on Amazon. Earlier, we talked about selling books on Amazon. Do you want to talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, you would just, to sell on Amazon, you would just need to open an Amazon seller account. They're going to want to know a lot of your information. So if you don't have an LLC, it would be all your personal info. So where you live, that would be like your business address. You would have to put in your social security number.
Versus an EIN, or like once you establish an LLC, you can get an EIN or an employee ID number. You can submit that instead of your social.
So that's all you really need to do. And then once they approve everything, then you're able to sell. But like we said before, you're a brand new account. You're going to be what's called gated, which means you're restricted from selling in certain categories on Amazon and certain brands. And there's a lot of information out there to teach you how to get ungated, so that way you can sell those particular products. But if you want to start on Amazon, like I said, I highly recommend with books, because books is it's not very restricted. So the big textbook names, you will probably run into issues where you're restricted to sell those. But just everyday books, I mean, you go to any listing that has books and there's lots of sellers. And so that's just an easy way to start selling on Amazon, because the chance of being restricted is very unlikely with books.
Right. Yeah, we still see people scanning at all of our Goodwills pretty regularly. So yeah, it's still a very viable business. And like Liz said, especially to get started. For us, the reason we moved away from it is time consuming. I mean, you're going to be out there, boots on the ground, finding these books, and, you could buy a book for $1 and it sells for 50 and 30 and 80. And I mean,
the ROI is usually
the ROI is really, really good on books. And that's why it's good to get started, because you can kind of build up a little bit of a bankroll. For example, if you're starting out with, let's say you've got $1,000 to dedicate to your Amazon business, well, private label isn't what you're going to want to start with there, because usually you have to order a minimum quantity and then have to pay for shipping and everything else. So that's private labeling. It used to be, a lot of the videos would say you can start with $3,000. I say it's at least like $6,000 to $8,000 commitment, even if you're sourcing a product for $1. And that's because if the minimum order quantity is 1,000, so there's $1,000, then you have to pay for shipping and all the Amazon fees, packaging
for to have your
designer,
item.
Product or package designer, photography, if you're paying for all that stuff, if you don't do it yourself. And then if your product does good, that means it sells, you're going to have to, again, reorder. So you want to have some money in the reserve there to say, okay, supplier, I need another 1,000, get them coming, because the turnaround time might be 3 months by the time they're made and shipped, especially, again, right now, like
our goods have been sitting in Dallas waiting for a truck for probably 2 weeks now.
Almost 2 weeks. So,
and we're running out of stock, which is not good, because then it messes with the Amazon algorithm. And if you're not selling, then your sales rank goes lower. And then you're not going to be shown on page 1 like you used to for your keywords.
Yeah. So your money could be dead for 6 months, just sitting, So
you have money tied up in merchandise, and it's in transit somewhere, and you're just waiting for it to go from point A to point B. So
it's finally in transit right now. So we're really excited. We missed Prime Day, but that's okay, because our products are evergreen. They sell year round. It's not something that people aren't going to go and look for a deal on these particular products.
Okay, cool. Now, I have a couple of things I wanted to talk to you guys about real quick. First thing I want to talk to you guys about is when you're outsourcing and you're doing retail arbitrage, it's not as easy as people make it look like in their videos. They make it look like you walk in, you're in and out in 10 minutes. You found, your whole trunk, your whole back seat is full. Yeah, you're opening up, and your whole van is full of merchandise. And so when you guys are out here and you're sourcing, looking for items to resell on eBay and Amazon, can you talk a little bit about that? Because just because you find something that on paper, it looks like it's a great deal, like, hey, I'm buying this item for $2 or $3 and it sells for $50. You still have to take into account, sales rank, cost of goods, your eBay fees, shipping fees. You want to put all that in there, because you don't want to buy a bunch of merchandise and the stuff just sits, because then you have money tied up in merchandise and it's not moving. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because most of my audience sells on eBay, but if they're not familiar with Amazon, can you touch on that? Like when you scan a barcode, you're looking items up for retail arbitrage, it does tell you like a sales rank for that particular category, correct?
Yep.
Yes, and we actually just did a video about that, about sales rank. So one of the things, a sales rank scanning is just something that's a snapshot in time. So you don't know if you went to the store and you scanned a pair of golf shorts and they're showing that they have a really low sales rank. So the lower the sales rank, the faster it sells. it could be low, but you don't know if that item just sold and the sales rank dropped. So that's one thing where it's sometimes a risk. Now there's other software called Keepa that you would want to double check. That is more historical data. So not only do you have to pay attention when you're scanning to the sales rank, you want to go into Keepa, scan the item, see, how many sellers, what was the lowest FBA price, the highest one, the lowest sales rank, the highest sales rank. It'll show you a chart, and that data determines if we're going to buy that particular product or not. Now we went to Dollar Day because that's my favorite day of the week is Thursday. We don't go all the time because we do have a lot of inventory, but we did Dollar Day, and then next door is a Ross. So you can't not go to Goodwill and Thrift and not hit the Ross. So we went into Ross and we're scanning. The best thing about being a reselling couple is he gets to go to one section. I go to another one. We can tackle a store faster. But I'm going and I'm scanning items that aren't even showing up on Amazon, which means that particular product, it might look like it would be a good buy, but it isn't even listed on Amazon. And that would be very risky to buy anything where you don't have the data on Amazon to support that it sells.
Yeah, we're ungated in like Nike and Under Armour and Adidas, some of the bigger brands. So like Ross, we're able to scan those types of things. But like Liz said, if they haven't ever been sold, then some people say go ahead and buy it, create the listing, and be the first person to sell it. So there's different business models for that, but we stay away from that typically. Being in Arizona, we're I call it one of the meccas of reselling, really, because of how big the city is. I mean, there are so many Rosses, so many Marshalls, so many Goodwills, and then it's pretty much garage sales year round out here. I mean, it's super hot right now. We're had a record for like 115 degree days in a row, but there's still really early morning garage sales, and it's really only a month. I would say it kind of slows down. Otherwise, you go to estate sales or garage sales around here, you could literally go to one probably every day.
I think the hardest, it's harder to find, in my opinion, harder to find items to sell on Amazon for retail arbitrage than it is on eBay. eBay, I feel like we find more products for eBay just because it's a different beast, going to Goodwill and there's just so many items that you can find, the antiques, the, dishware, the children's items. I mean, there's just so much that you can find there. And I mean, we do we don't only scan an item. If we see a barcode, we look it up on eBay by keywords. We see how many items are listed. We filter through the sold, look to see how many have sold in the last 90 days. And we try to make good, because that was the one thing, the mistakes that we made when we first started reselling with both is I'd go to Dollar Day and I'd be like, oh, this is only $1. Oh, well, I'll just buy it and it'll sell, right? It'll eventually sell. But really, we're in a position where we're doing so many other things that we can't just buy inventory to buy it. We really have to have the sell-through rate a lot higher than, what we used to do.
Yeah, and you can look it up also on eBay. You can look at sold comps and you can see how many of them are listed on a particular niche or category versus how many of them have sold in the past 90 days. So it's not exactly the same as Amazon where you're looking at sales rank, but you can still look at it and say, okay, I have this particular item in my hand. How many of these have sold in the past 90 days? When is this going to get a good return on my investment, or is this going to sit for 6 months? So you can kind of gauge it a little bit. And then one thing that I've been looking at a lot lately is because sometimes you may go to a thrift store or a Goodwill or a yard sale, and you either come home empty-handed or you come home with 3, 4, or 5 items. So one of my strategies that I've been looking to, especially since we had this whole lockdown thing, is I've been doing a lot of research on online arbitrage, where you can order, let's say, a big bulk lot of merchandise. What I do, for example, let's say right now you can go on eBay and you can buy 1,000 CDs for $380. Let's say $400. So I buy them. My cost of goods is 40 cents a piece. Now I have 1,000 CDs new in the shrink wrap. Then I would come home, chop them up, sell them off individually on eBay. And let's say if they sold for $10 a piece minimum times 1,000, now I've got $10,000 worth of merchandise and my cost of goods was $400. So to me, if I can come home and I know for sure I've got 1,000 items brand new in the shrink wrap that they don't make anymore, by the way. You can't go to Walmart or Target and Best Buy and pick them up because they're discontinued. They don't make them. You can only get them online. That's kind of a similar situation I'm looking at, is possibly ordering like a wholesale lot of merchandise online. It doesn't have to be CDs. I'm just using that as an example. My brother, he sells a lot of remotes, and last week he just ordered 2,700 remotes to resell on eBay. And including shipping, he paid like 50 cents a piece per unit. And let's say he sells them for $10, $15, $20 a piece. You know, your cost of goods is 50 cents. And even if he just sells them for $10 a piece times 2,700, you can easily see where you're taking, you know, your initial investment and turning it into, you know, $27,000, $28,000, $30,000 worth of merchandise. That doesn't mean that it's going to sell right away, but it does mean that you continuously have a supplier to bring in a wholesale lot of merchandise. So can you guys talk a little bit about that? What your mindset is, or what it is that you guys are looking for when you're looking to do online arbitrage? Because I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah,
that's a great example.
So we have been, you know, because that is a thing with going out and doing retail arbitrage, is the time that you are going out, and you aren't guaranteed to find a lot of stuff. Like you mentioned, you can, maybe there's a day where you have a trunk full of things, and then other days where you're like, gosh, that was such a waste of my time. So we're doing a couple different things. One, we actually found somebody selling all of their eBay inventory, and they were only a mile, almost 2 miles from us. And so we bought out their eBay store. So now we have so much inventory, which is a good thing. And then also we are turning to more online arbitrage. We're in an online leads group. It's called West Coast Deals. And that leads group, it's a monthly membership. They give us leads, and it's just a good support system. We've found that that's really helped us, you know, with our eBay account. But also we just signed up for tactical arbitrage, because we do kind of want to have control over where we're buying stuff, how much we're buying. And we just need, the leads group's great, but we need a little bit more leads, I guess, to really, for online arbitrage to make sense for us.
Yeah, leads group are more for bouncing off ideas, getting to know people, again, getting to learn the wholesale process. You know, it was new for us. I've always been one that if I don't know anything, I'm going to invest in our business, invest in ourselves. That's how we met Kevin David. And I mean, his course was $997. I mean, we saw him go from having, you know, what he claimed less than 10,000 in his pocket to making $2 million in 6 months. And that was because he not only did a course, but he learned ClickFunnels, and then hired one of the best ClickFunnel builders to do it, Jeff. And, you know, so you got to be able to be willing to invest in yourself and in your business. So that to go to that point, the leads group has been great. We've been in it for several months now, and
almost a year.
Yeah, still in it. But tactical arbitrage opens up the door for a lot more. Once you understand tactical arbitrage, I mean, it's an awesome tool, and it does just that. It scans thousands of stores depending on what you tell it to, and you're ordering in bulk for the most part. So it might be 50 items, it might be 10, it might be whatever, but you know, it's a lot. I like that business model more. You know, to your point, you bought the CDs, you break them down, you're buying them for 40 cents a piece. I mean, to go out and find 40-cent items times that many is a lot of gas, a lot of time, and you got to be lucky to stumble up on that stuff. So, you know, reselling, what I'm still learning, you know, about the opportunities of it. It's not just going, you know, to clearance at Walmart, finding that sweet deal and making a few bucks. There's so many ways you can do it. And a lot of people get started and do quit. I mean, we have seen that time and time again over the last few years, because a lot of people do think it is not really a get rich quick, but like, you know, if you sell $10,000 a month worth of inventory at 30%, you should be able to peel $3,000 and put in your pocket. And it's like, well, no, you got to actually take that to go buy more inventory. Otherwise, you know,
you're going to run out of money.
Yeah. So it's definitely a snowball. And that's why I was close to leaving my job our first month of private label. The products hit, you know, we were excited. We'd been waiting like 6 months from start to finish, not for just the products. I mean, from concept to packaging to all this stuff. And, you know, we were hoping to do like $6,000 in revenue. We did 16, and I was like, that's it. You know, I'm leaving my job. And, you know, we got our first couple checks from Amazon were like $4,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, now we have to go rebuy product and we want to buy more. So we ended up borrowing at one point $50,000 for our private label business that we were able to pay off in less than 6 months and then some. And that's when, you know, as things went on, more and more light bulbs kept clicking for me. But I also learned not to put all your eggs in one basket, you know, and that's why we've diversified the way we have. It's a lot more work, but I don't know. I just like making a little from a lot of things versus a lot from just one thing.
And one reason is, you know, last year with, you know, everything that happened, you know, we went to, like retail arbitrage was going to be our main thing. And now we can't even go out and source. Everything's shut down. So that's when we joined the leads group and started learning that business model. So that was actually a blessing for us.
Yeah, our private label is a little bit on autopilot right now, to be honest, just because of the cost of the materials going up, the US dollar kind of value going down. We don't sell in Europe, so you know when we have to take that all into consideration. So we're just kind of waiting to see how everything plays out as we continue to keep our status good and our products coming in. As far as growth in our private label, we're again kind of pumping the brakes on growth right now and just maintaining it and then growing our other streams. You
know, I like going out to yard sales and estate sales and thrift stores, but you know, at the end of the day, sometimes I get a little bit frustrated. Like, for example, let's say I found this video game at a thrift store for $1.50, okay, and it sells on eBay for $50. So the game sold full asking price, but then I got home and I thought about it. I'm like, okay, great, Duff, you made $50, just enough money to put gas back in your gas tank to do it again tomorrow. So I'm just like, what am I really doing? You know, it's like, yeah, great. I found this item for $1.50 and it sold for $50. So maybe I made, you know, $40 or something. Right. And I put that money in my gas tank and I'm going back out sourcing again the next day. So it's like, oh, great, you made $50, as opposed to me ordering a big bulk order of merchandise. I'm not spending any time, any gas money. I don't have to find a parking spot. I don't have to wait in line for 15, 20 minutes to check out. And the merchandise just arrives at your front door. So I like I said, I've been trending more and more in that direction, as opposed to just saying, hey, I've sold this one item for $50. And it's like, okay, great. You can fill your gas tank back up and live to fight another day, you know? So, so that's,
I mean, as you do that though, just for the audience, you will have to accept lower margins. As you know, your example of the CDs is awesome. It really is. Yeah. But big wholesalers, like people that are doing big numbers on Amazon, like wholesaling. We just actually were involved with an interview with Watch Me Amazon. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but he's pretty popular on YouTube and has his own course on it. But he was saying, you know, as they grew, their margins actually got lower. But, you know, would you rather do 8% of 10 million or 20% of 300,000? You know, so as you buy bigger bulk deals, if you will, let's say, I'm trying to think of an example for a wholesale product, food, let's say a can of spices, you know, you might buy 1,000 of them for a certain price, but because of competition, you might have to accept that you're only going to make 8 to 10% on those. But because you've done your research with Keepa and Sales Rank and everything, you know they're going to sell. So it's almost like, well, why not? You're not going out and sourcing them. So if you only make, you know, $100 on your 1,000 and you know you're going to make it, you might as well.
Okay, awesome. So tell me a little bit about what is going to be next for you guys. What are some of your plans that you guys have for the next, maybe in the future, maybe next 3 to 5 years, because you were able to quit your full-time job to be full-time resellers. You traded in, or you sold your camper van, so you plan on staying in your current location for the next 3 to 5 years, I assume, because you just bought this house recently. So where is it? What are some of the new projects that you guys have going on? You have your YouTube channel, you have, you know, your eBay, your Amazon store. What are some of the new projects that we can expect from you guys in the future?
For me, it's more YouTube. I mean, Liz has grown our channel mostly by herself, but we've got over 4,000 subscribers now, and it's something I want to be more involved in. So for me, I want to get more involved with YouTube and the Merch by Amazon account. That's kind of what I'm going to I mean, obviously YouTube is going to be the two of us, but my focus is going to be mainly that and our merch account. And then,
I mean, I want to continue to grow eBay. I mean, we've got like I said, the store that we bought all the inventory. I enjoy it. I mean, I'd much rather do that than wake up and, go to a 9 to 5. I mean, there's something to be said about controlling your day and being able to be flexible. And we've gotten to, now that we're together and our roots are down in Apache Junction, we get to spend more time together and enjoy the things that, especially Casey missed when he was on the road. But yeah, I enjoy doing YouTube videos. It's fun for me. I want to build the eBay, let him kind of take the reins of the merch. He's really interested in that, and just kind of really start building, but also build other brands. I'd like to create new products and, build a business to where maybe in that 3 to 5 years we can move somewhere else or, rent out our houses. We actually bought 2. We had bought one when we first put down roots, and we couldn't get a semi to the house. So we were needing to get semi deliveries for our private label products because of the logistics of the shipping, and Amazon was restricting how many units you could send in. So we actually bought a second home, and that's the one we're in now with the outbuilding. We completely remodeled it, and it has a pool, which I don't know why we didn't buy a house with a pool in 100-degree weather in Arizona. But I would like to eventually rent these out and maybe, do like a summer somewhere. But with physical product businesses, that makes it very challenging. So I think I want to just keep building the eBay, but also get to a point where we can kind of maybe hire out help or not have to worry about it, and somebody else can work it.
Yeah, I mentioned we're doing another private label product here in the US. That's been our focus also. We do have some partners involved with that, so we're kind of sharing duties, but we're pretty excited about it. It's in the pet niche, so if all goes as planned, we should be doing some pretty big volume with it here in the next 4 to 6 months. So,
okay, awesome. So what advice do you have? Like 2 or 3 tips of advice, because we talked about a whole lot of stuff today. But if someone wanted to get into this niche where they wanted to resell on eBay and Amazon, and they're gung ho, they heard what you had to say today, what would be like your top 2 or 3 pieces of advice that you would give this person to either help them get started, or maybe if they're doing it part-time and they want to grow and expand their business? What would you tell them?
I would say one of the things is find your tribe, find people in the reselling community, because it's so important. In the leads group, I have an accountability partner. Her name's Ashley. She's been great to be able to text and ask questions because she knows more stuff about eBay than I do. So it's just really nice to have that connection, have that support. Reselling, you can get frustrated and people give up really quickly. It's just because there's so much to learn. I'm sure after watching this, you guys are feeling that way. We've been there. We started at square one. Just remember, you're not alone. Everyone has to start at the beginning. The biggest thing is to just start.
Yeah, I was going to say just start for sure, but it can be lonely as a reseller. So like Liz said, get a group of people that are like-minded that you can talk to when you do get frustrated, and just have patience. This isn't, again, go and finding something for $1, sell it for 50. You're not bringing that $40 home. That's going back into the business, a lot of it. So be patient, set a budget so you truly understand, at what level you want to take it. I mean, some people love that it's just a part-time $500 to pay certain bills. And some people are like me, that we're looking for a way to leave the corporate world and get my time back, in a sense. I mean, time goes by quick, especially the older we get. We all feel that, I think. And we have a lot different opportunities than our parents had. I mean, with this whole internet thing. And I mean, right. eBay just started when Liz and I were in high school, so
which makes us ancient.
Right. But it's just, and we see people with YouTube channels, and, reselling isn't for everybody. I mean, there was a point where even after I left Nationwide, or my insurance company. Like earlier in this year, where I was like, man, is this really what I want to do? We were outsourcing, coming home, taking pictures, listing. Liz was doing the YouTube thing, but then the more I thought about my why to leave, what I had kind of left behind, it was remotivating. But it took, like Liz said, getting involved with a group and really having people that we can reach out to all the time and hear their frustrations, they hear ours. And but the
biggest thing also, my last tip would be, what works for us might not work for you.
Sure.
And so you really have to do trial and error and figure out what's going to work. It could depend on where you live in the country. It could depend on what time you have to devote to reselling. So really, you just have to start and pivot. If it's not working, try something else.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we've been live for an hour. I appreciate you guys coming on and hanging out with us. I could probably talk to you guys for another hour. It's just important to have a good group of like-minded people. And there's so many people in the community that if you have questions or comments or you need help with something, just reach out and talk to them and say, hey, I'm having an issue with XYZ. And usually 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, oh, yeah, I know what to do. I've been there before. So it's definitely important. So tell everybody where they can go by and check you out on YouTube and Instagram. I got your links listed down below.
Just Freeway Flippers.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Do you guys have any final thoughts that you can leave with our audience?
One last thought I would say, stay focused on one or maybe 2 things at a time. Another thing that we learned early on, once we started the Amazon FBA private labels going off, I wanted to open Shopify and drop ship, and then I was going to do
you
eBay.
Get really excited.
So you do get excited, and then that's why the t-shirt thing we've had or the merch thing we've had been going on for a couple of years, and it just kind of was on the back burner. And because it's very easy to get like the deer in headlights and look squirrel type of mentality, because there is a lot of knowledge and it is exciting, but just like laser focus on one thing. So if you're starting with eBay, and before you jump into Amazon, maybe make a goal of, let me make sure I'm doing 2,000 every 90 days on eBay, or 4,000, or whatever that number is. Get comfortable with that before you jump to something else, because otherwise you're going to just be spending not enough time on too many things
and become overwhelmed.
Yeah, it gets overwhelming. So
you only have so many hours in a day, and I definitely can relate, because I know a lot of the stuff you guys are talking about, like selling stuff on Amazon and doing private label, and then trying to do merch by Amazon and all this stuff. And I'm just like, my goal is just to get the 10,000 items on eBay, and if I can get to the point where I'm doing consistently 10 grand a month in sales, not profit, but just sales every single month on eBay, then I may look and expand to try other avenues. But right now, it's like, you want to kind of be on the straight and narrow, like, because if you can, if you can just focus your energy and just build it and reinvest your capital and grow, man, I think I'm gonna tell you guys something, man. When you can be a person and you can say, hey, these are my 3 goals or 5 goals that I set out for the year, and you accomplish those 5 goals, nothing can stop people like that. But if you're like, hey, I'm going to jump in and try it out and get started on eBay and try it for 60 or 90 days, then I'm going to jump over to Amazon, then I'm going to go try Shopify, and you're jumping all around the board, nothing's going to get done. You're going to be like a dog chasing his tail. But if you focus your energy and say, hey, I'm going to focus all my energy on this one niche, this one category, and I'm going to work until I get there. And then maybe you can branch out and try other things, because then you have your base of revenue that you have coming in every month, where you're like, hey, if things go crazy, I know I have XYZ number of dollars coming in a month from whatever it is, eBay, Amazon, Shopify, whatever it is that you really want to do. So anyways, we had a great time hanging out with you guys today. I will catch you guys tomorrow. If you guys want to come by and hang out with me tomorrow, I have Golden Finger Picker, which I actually didn't even know. He lives in my backyard here in Florida. So if you guys want to come and hang out with me tomorrow, 4 o'clock, I will see you then. Until then, I will see you guys later. Go ahead and follow our guests. Freeway Flippers, all their links are down below for YouTube and Instagram. You can tell them Jeff sent you from eBay Addicts, and you can pick their brains too if you have questions. All their links are down below on Instagram. So we had a great time hanging out with you guys, and hopefully I'll have you back on again sometime. You guys have a great one.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, guys. Catch you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.